Hello and welcome to our premiere podcast. Today, we are going to take you on a trip to Miami. We're going to depart Las Vegas, go to Miami, check out South Beach. We're going to go hit some bars, some clubs. We're going to go to the Miami Dolphins game. We're going to go to Key West. Let's get started. Okay, so the plan was to land in Orlando, rent a car, drive down to Miami. That way we save some money. So let's start from the rent car. Rented a car and then we drove down to Miami. But let me tell you a little bit about if you take a nonstop flight, you depart the city you're in and you land in the city you're going to. There's no in between. There's no stopping. If you take flights with connecting cities, you will fly to that connecting city, usually catch a plane, and then go to the city you're going to. It's usually one stop, maybe two, usually one. Direct flights, it's very direct flights. Direct flights means you stay on the plane that you got onto in your city. But that flight can make 10 stops on the way. Southwest is famous for this, which is the flight we took. Now, we had to make 2 stops on the way there, and I think 4 stops on the way back. They tell you, it's only 45 minutes for us to land. They load more people in, people get off, and then you go on to the next city. Now, that's a lie because if that plane lands, it's an hour to an hour and a half. And you multiply that by 3-4 cities, and that's a lot of time. And it's very tedious. So it's almost better to take a flight that has a connecting flight, if you can't get a nonstop flight, than it is to take a direct flight. Airlines don't take direct flights. Yes, it's the same plane. And like we went to Miami, we stopped in Phoenix. Then I think we stopped in St. Louis, and then we ended up in Orlando. On the way back, we went Orlando to Tampa Bay, to Chicago, to Denver, and then to Las Vegas. So it's very deceiving. Arrived in Orlando, which was, a nice city, big city. We really didn't stay there. We rented a car, got something to eat, and then we drove to South Beach. And if I can remember right, it's in the hour and a half time frame. So it's not a long flight. We went to Orlando because it was cheaper to fly into Orlando than it was Miami. But after that direct flight, it would have been better to pay the extra money just flying into Miami. We get to Miami. We went straight to South Beach. South Beach is its own island kind of thing. It's a lot of hotels, small hotels, refurbished. For what you get, they're small rooms, and they're pretty pricey. But the good thing around is that they're all in that area where you can walk to almost anything down there. All the hotels are really quaint, kind of rehabilitated hotels. The beach is right in front of those hotels. The beach is not like like on the Atlantic side of the ocean. It's more like a harbor, or right, you can see all the way across to the other side, which is the downtown Miami area. So there's no waves or anything. A lot of big boats and ships and cargo ships coming in and out. From where the sand begins to where the water is a long ways. You don't really know that till you get there, but it's a long ways. It can handle a lot of people. There wasn't that many people laying in the sand. Families gathering at the water's edge, or we didn't think it was that great a beach. It was nice. It was clean. The sand was clean. Miami takes care of it. Didn't come across as what you have seen on TV or the brochures or the magazines. You're not going to go to this beach and go, ooh, this was such a great beach. It's pretty plain. In front of that beach is the main drag. That's where all the high-end, or I found the most high-end hotels. Then they had some coffee shops, a lot of bars. Walk is maybe 1 mile long, and that's it. And then behind that, main drag is smaller streets with more hotels. Some bars, but a lot more hotels. And then these hotels it's a little different because the hotel itself will have a nice bar in there, a nice restaurant. They'll have a club at night. So that's how they compete. It's not the other main clubs and stuff that you would go to would be off of the main drags. So if you want to stay in South Beach, you would actually go to different hotels and stuff. We found that the restaurants out there, touristy, nice. You're getting that Cuban Caribbean kind of cuisine. Very expensive, nice, touristy, to the point that it's not authentic. You can tell that they had designers come in here and design these restaurants to give you the atmosphere of the Caribbean, the Cuban kind of atmosphere. There's much better Cuban food in Little Havana than there is in Miami, we found, and cheaper, more authentic. You don't get the nice ambiance, but the food's better. My favorite spot to hit in the entire South Beach area was the News Cafe. The News Cafe is a little small coffee shop, but famous. I think it was created by reporters that worked the area. Now it's a coffee shop. Then we'd go there every morning, have our coffee, and make decisions on what we were going to do that day. We really enjoyed our time at the News Cafe. I would recommend that you go there. We bought a couple things like coffee cup and stuff, and we subsequently lost them. Start your day at the News Cafe. We did. The main streets have a lot of bars, and at night, like I said, the hotels will turn their swimming pool area into discos. It's pretty trendy, and there's a lot of Latin influence and a lot of people from Latin America. You can tell them they're real trendy looking. I mean, the way they dress and stuff. You'll see them at the pools and stuff. They always like to talk, and they'd come as soon as they found out I was a U.S. citizen, and they'd want to talk. Like one guy we met from Venezuela, his wife, and they're really polite and kind, and telling us how much they liked Miami. There's a lot of other Latinos down there from all through the Caribbean. A lot of Cubans. A lot of Colombians. I met some people from Argentina. So that's the culture in there, and I think those are their main tourist. The hotel we stayed in was nice, real trendy, sort of 50s kind of feel to it. Totally remodeled, old hotel, had a nice little swimming pool. They turned that into a disco at night. Drinks were expensive. They had a little restaurant in there, and they served basically, I think it was like a high-end Cuban cuisine. We ate there once, and it was okay, and it was a lot of money. The next day, we were there 4 days total. So the next day when we wake up, we went to the News Cafe, and we decided we'd go down to Little Havana. We drove down there, and there's nothing special. I mean, they have a lot of restaurants, but these restaurants are not high-end specialty, fancy designer restaurants. They're more family-oriented. A couple were a buffet kind of thing. We went to a sandwich shop that we found, and it was delicious. We had a Cuban sandwich and a mojito, and it wasn't that expensive. And we liked that. I actually liked that more than the South Beach area. Went over to downtown Miami, which is in the midst of a rehabilitation itself. And we drove around, spent most of the day just, checking out sites and going to things. It's downtown Miami is in the midst of a rejuvenation. We did find a blues bar down there, and this was like 7 o'clock at night, but the band didn't start till 10. So we didn't stay around. We ended up going back. we ended up going for a couple hours to the club at the hotel. Then we went to another club at a hotel just a couple doors down. So we were staying there, so it was free for us to get in. But at the other hotel, they charged $25 a head just to get in. And then the drinks were $10 a pop. It was just a DJ in there with lights and nothing special. I mean, I found just walking around, and you can see the pool areas from the streets. Then the next day, we got up and we were going to go to the Miami Dolphins and Raider game at then with Joe Robbie Stadium. We heard of a little strip area near the stadium that had good barbecue. There was 4 or 5 restaurants. We hit that on the way there because the stadium is in this African American community. We went a little early. Game started at 1. We were there by maybe 11. Then we went over to the stadium, and this Joe Robbie Stadium is not much. I mean, they got a grass parking lot. People playing catch football in the parking lot. The stadium itself is like a big bowl. Didn't really have much in there. I ended up not liking it very much. I'm a Raider fan. I like the Dolphins too. The problem with NFL games nowadays is you go to these games and I don't know if this was Miami, because we also had a bad experience when we went to a Philadelphia Eagle game. And there's just a ton of drunks at these things and loudmouths, using, terrible language. And it's not so much I'm a grown man, I can deal with it, but there's a lot of families got kids and, you got your girlfriend and your wife, and there's some drunk behind you and throwing F-bombs all over, because he didn't like a play. Anyways, there was some guy down the aisle, and he's sitting in his chair, and he's with his buddy, and these guys look like 2 Leonard Skinner fans. And this guy's tilting forward and back in his chair, back and forth, and I'm thinking, this guy's just drunk, totally drunk. Then he just throws up all over the guy in front of him. Some old guy. And I felt so bad. And I'm going, how come nobody cuts these people off? Then, so this guy ends up going to the bathroom. He comes back with the police. And then his other buddy, they're getting in a screaming match with the police because they're going to throw him out. Then there was a guy maybe 2 rows behind me, and I don't know how to describe this guy. He had a beard, and he was in his 50s, and with his wife, it looked like, and he had shut up the whole game, and everything was an F-bomb, and you, and this, and that, screaming at the Raiders, Just made the whole game intolerable. I mean, it was just bad. And it ended up being a real good game, but it was destroyed by these people. So that's it for me on NFL games. I think the NFL knows this, has not done anything about it. For me, it's the last time I'll go to an NFL game. I still love the NFL. I watch it on TV, but I am not going to any more games. These guys come at 10 o'clock in the morning. They sit in the parking lot for tailgating. And by 1 o'clock, they're hammered. Then they come into the game and they have, 3, 4, 5 more drinks by halftime. And they're just smashed by halftime. So, like I said, the NFL knows this happens. And yes, a lot of these stadiums have cut them off at the 4th quarter, but by that time, it's way too late. So, until they do something about it, I will not return to another NFL. Let's move on. After the game, we took our rental car and drove up to the main highway. It was a little complicated to get back to the hotel. We got to the hotel. We cleaned up. We went to that Gloria Estefan's husband's hotel and got dinner. And the dinner was very good. Problem was, it was very expensive. There was the two of us, and we probably paid $125 for dinner. And we had a couple drinks. And now, if you're going to eat and drink and stuff down at South Beach, bring your wallet, because it's going to be expensive. Next day, we get up. We go to the News Cafe, have our coffee, and discuss what we're going to do. What we had decided was we were going to go to Key West. Now, we did the math on that, and we figured the miles and everything to get to Key West would take us about an hour and a half. It took like three hours there and 3.5 to get back. It's not all highway over there. We had to take a long boulevard down to the highway that goes to Key West. That highway that goes to Key West is like 2 lanes. Then it goes down to 1 lane. And then you're always caught behind slower cars or vehicles that you have to therefore pass, which makes it dangerous because you're going on the side of oncoming traffic. The drive down there, I mean, it wasn't an unpleasant drive once you get, onto the peninsula, but to the right or left of the peninsula it's very thin. You have the highway that runs down the middle, and then to the right or to the left, there's not much all the way down there. A lot of bridges, a lot of keys, different keys. We found that the highway ends at Key West. So once you get to Key West, I found there was a lot of people there living there, number one. A lot of older houses like in the middle, and then on the edges were the expensive houses. There was one beach down there that we went to, and I didn't see any others. They might have been there, but I didn't see them. A lot of tourist shops, a lot of bars. Key West is almost at the very tip of the peninsula. So once you get there, the entire walking area there is maybe an hour and a half of walking, and that's it. And that hour and a half is bars and restaurants and t-shirt shops, tourist souvenirs. The one thing we did and I liked was we went to Hemingway's old house, which was a really rustic wooden home, simple. You would think it's some plantation kind of house. No, it's not. It's on one of the main drags. It has a simple backyard. He has a writing room. You have to pay to get in, but if you like Hemingway, it is a cool thing to see, and how simply he lived. After this, we went around. We had 5 or 6 o'clock dinner. We got out of there about 8 p.m. and we drove back. And it took us, like I said, 3.5 hours to get back. And it was dangerous at night. I mean, driving in the dark on that peninsula is it's not take your life into your hands dangerous, but it's you better beware dangerous. We got back late, 11 or so, and we had to get up early because our flight was out of Orlando again. And then, so we got up in the morning, went to the News Cafe, and then we loaded up, drove back to Orlando, and then, like I said, we took our Southwest flight back to Vegas. But we took a direct flight, which I will not do again, and I recommend you don't, because, like I said, we had to stop in Tampa Bay, Chicago, Denver, and then Vegas. I mean, we're almost doing a tour of the United States. We never had to get off the plane, but, Then we got back to Vegas. I mean, that flight, direct flight, took us probably 10 hours. Anyways, would I recommend South Beach, Key West? I mean, it's a very touristy kind of place. If that's what you're looking for, yes, you're going to like it. If you're going there just to relax and go to nice restaurants and you want to hit some nice discos and hang out at the beach, you don't want to go around seeing things or do things. You want it all contained right there. South Beach is nice. We found the weather to be a little humid. The prices were very high in South Beach. It's geared towards tourists and South American tourists. To give the people at South Beach nice, everybody was nice, everybody was polite. Service was good. It just depends on what you're looking for. Like a plane layover in Miami for a day, I would go to South Beach and just hang out and then catch the flight the next day. That would be worth it. So I hope this helped you out, and we will be talking to you in a while with our next trip. So good day, take care, and safe travels.